Welcome to Cat Tarot. We're going to be doing an introduction to some tarot cards and some oracle cards and discussing a little bit about how to get started with reading, what the most basic sort of starts are, like a 1-card read, how to do that, how to do a 3-card past, present, future read. I'm just pulling some of my card decks here closer to so we can discuss them. Okay, let's go through first. What's the difference between tarot cards and oracle cards? So this deck here is the Rider-Waite Radiant deck. It's called the Radiant deck because the pictures are a little bit brighter than normal. This would be considered one of your standard types of a tarot deck. So in a standard tarot deck, you're going to have your knight, page, queen, king, and then the numbers from 1 to 10 in 4 different suites. So you have pentacles, swords, cups, wands. And then the other collection of cards that you get in your standard tarot deck is what is considered the major minor arcana. And you have, and this is where you get, the sun, the Hierophant, the world, all the cards that you hear of all the time, the Tower, these are all, the Empress, these are all part of the tarot deck. So in tarot, each of these card types have a different meaning. And it's the same every single time you read the card. So like the Queen of Wands, for example, wands represent fire. It could be like your spirit, emotion, action, time to do something. Queens represent like influence, power. So the Queen of Wands could stand for vibrancy, exuberance. So there's specific ways that you read each of the cards, and they mean the same thing every time you read them. And then also with the standard tarot, you may read the card in the upright, or there may be a different meaning if you get the card in the reverse position. So this is what reverse position would be, where the card ends up upside down in your spread. So that's traditional tarot. And then you have what's considered oracle cards. So let's just look at these ones for a second. This is the Nature's Whisper oracle card deck. And in an oracle card deck, essentially the difference is that these cards are sort of random meanings. So standard oracle card will be a picture of some kind that has a meaning behind it. It may have some words on it. I'll show you another one here. This is the Wisdom of the Night oracle card deck. So there's a picture of a woman here and it says High Priestess of Spirit. So you kind of get random cards within the deck. Some of these oracle decks end up having some of the same kind of meanings behind each of the cards. But generally, and then in oracle decks also, you get oracle decks that are specific sort of meanings behind the deck. So this oracle deck is called Goddess Power Oracle. And this oracle deck has a goddess for every single card. And again, it's got a picture of the goddess. It says who she is. This one's Gaia. And she is a representative of Earth. So she may be helping you, as Mother Earth, or helping you balance or grow, or like there's lots of different meanings. So with oracle cards though, so like in standard tarot, each of the cards has a specific meaning for that everybody kind of reads them the same. And then in oracle cards, it's kind of more open to interpretation of the card. So this is where you're using your intuition to read and glean the message of what Spirit is trying to share with you through pulling each of these cards. Now, there's also this kind of murky in-between space where you get tarot cards. So this, for example, would be the traditional 3 of Cups in the tarot deck. This card says 3. It's got the 3 of Cups kind of imagery, not the same as traditional tarot, but it's there. And it says rejoice in celebration. So traditional 3 of Cups is friendship, community. So this still has that same sort of feeling of traditional tarot, but these are more on the line of oracle cards because they're deriving their own meanings in each of the cards. This deck is called the Psychic Tarot. So this disruption would be your Tower card. So each of the cards kind of follow the traditional tarot, but they have their own interpretation. Here's another example of a hybrid deck, so to speak. This is the Crystal Power Tarot, and it has your standard, like this one follows the tarot more closely to the original meanings. Sorry, my cat's trying to come over here, say hi. So this has got your 5 of Pentacles, and you've got the 5 Pentacles. It's got a little message at the bottom. I'm supported and never alone. And then these ones are also considered to be kind of like crystal oracles. And this one has a crystal for each card. So the malachite is shown here. And this one has, again, like all the standard cards are in here with some interpretation of their own sort of oracle deck meaning behind the cards. So I myself read intuitively. So I read tarot intuitively and oracle intuitively. And what that means is when I pull a card, so for this card example, we've got from the Psycho Tarot, the Solitude card, number 9. When I read this card, every single time I pull this card into a reading, I'm going to read it differently because I'm looking at what is Spirit showing me from this card that I need to take as part of the message. So for example, sometimes when I pull this card, I'm going to look at the overall meaning of the whole card where she is alone and in solitude. And I may read this kind of more along traditional tarot like the Hermit. The other thing I could glean is maybe this is a message about learning. She's got a book. Maybe this is a message about somebody going to college or starting a new career where they have to learn things. The other way I could read this card is there's a very distinct star in the sky. So I might read this as kind of like a when you wish upon the stars kind of card, like your wishes can come true. There's also the column behind her. There's the mountains. There's magenta sky. There's kind of this like silky wavy pattern. So there's a blue dress. There's a necklace. There's straight brown hair. So there's a number 9. All of these things are things that I can use to read this card in different ways. Okay, so that's very basic. What are the difference of the cards? How can you utilize them? So let's talk for a second about you get a new card deck and what do you do? So the first thing that you should do with a new card deck is what people call clearing the deck. So you can clear a deck in many different ways. You can, here, let's just use the traditional tarot deck to play with here. So to clear a card deck, you could use sage, Palo Santo, any kind of like a wand kind of herb thing that you could burn. You could use incense. And what you would do is you would take the deck. I usually take the deck in the packaging. I don't have the package for this one here, so I'll show you this one. So this is the packaging for this deck. So here's your package. Here's the book. Here's the deck. So if I was clearing this as a brand new deck, I would clear all 3 of these things and just kind of hold them over the fire, like the smoke from whatever it is that you're burning. And that's going to help clear any residual energy that is inputted into these cards from the card deck. Other ways you can clear is you could put them in the sunlight, like just sit them on your windowsill and let them sit in the sun for a couple hours. You could do it at moonlight. A lot of people like to moonlight cleanse their cards every full moon or every new moon. They just leave it again, maybe on their windowsill overnight and let the cards clear the energies out of them and absorb the moonlight energy. Other ways to clear decks. So these ways of clearing decks are more what I would do if I was in the middle of a reading. So if I'm in the middle of a reading, I know I need to clear my deck when I'm not feeling like the answer's coming through. I'm not feeling that I'm connecting to Spirit with the cards at those moments. And the more you read, the more you're going to know what those feelings feel like. Or, because and I'm going to talk about shuffling cards in a second here, but when I'm shuffling my deck, sometimes I know that my deck needs to be cleared because I'm just going to kind of fake it out here. What I'll find is I'll have big chunks of cards jump out of the deck, which is not what I want. It's really hard to do a reading when you have 20 cards fall out like this. So when I start having that happen, One way, quick and easy, just to clear the energy of the deck and reset, is to knock the deck 3 times. So that's the clearing of the deck. The other way to clear a deck, and again, I wouldn't do this if I was in the middle of a reading, but if I've used the cards, reading, and then I feel like, okay, it's time to clear the card deck, or some people would do this like after every sit-down reading with a physical person. If that person's imprinted their energy on the cards, a really great way to clear a deck is to physically go and put the cards in order. Like just go through and reset all the cards of all the order of the cards. So you would do the 2 of Wands. So you do like the 1 to 10 of Wands. You would like and physically just go through, like it's like if you took original card deck and you had like, you know, the hearts, diamonds, spades. You would go through and do like 1 to 10 of spades. So you're doing the same thing with your tarot. You're actually physically just lining them all up, setting it all back to neutral, so to speak. And then you would shuffle them back together, and then you're ready to go and your deck's all clear. Okay, so shuffling. So I told you there's a couple different ways that you shuffle your decks. And really, this is going to become personal preference to yourself. Try different ways, decide what works for you, and go with it. So one way to shuffle your deck is to physically shuffle your deck, just like you would any other normal card deck. Shuffle. This gets a little more difficult because you can see here, there's many different size cards, and some of these cards are going to be harder to shuffle certain ways than other cards because they're bigger or they're smaller. So, okay, other ways to shuffle your decks is this way. So literally shuffling your deck. So what I'm doing is I'm letting some cards pull out each time as I go through and shuffle. And the kind of general rule, even though there really is no rules, it's whatever you set, is at least 6 shuffles a turn. So you'd want to do this 6 times. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 as the minimum. 6 shuffles through a turn. The other way to shuffle is the other direction. So exact same thing, other direction. This is my preference. And okay, so again, everybody reads a different way. This is a learning here. So when I shuffle and I'm pulling cards, this is how I pull cards. I shuffle, and whatever card comes out is the card that I'm going to work with. So see this bottom card flip sideways on me, so I would pull that card and I would read that card. Other way that people do readings is they would shuffle their deck in whatever way they want to shuffle their deck. So say we're doing standard shuffle, and you have to forgive me, I'm not super great at shuffling like that. So standard shuffle, and then you could have the person that you're reading or yourself cut the deck for you, or you could cut the deck into 3, and then you set your deck back up, and you literally just pull card after card. So this would be the first card you read, this would be the second card you read, this would be the third card you read, and on and on and on. The other way I've seen people do it is they spread their cards out, and whatever intuitively card is being called to them, this is the card that they read. So you can see there's lots of different ways to do this, and you really just need to practice and play. I find that reading cards is a lot of that, a lot of practice and play. Sit down with your cards and play with them. See how they feel. See what direction of shuffling works for you. How do you feel like you get cards that are like, okay, this is a card that really makes sense with what the rest of the reading I'm doing. So I'm going to start doing it this way, whatever that way is, with your cards, and that's how you read. Okay, so those are the very basics of sort of starting out with cards and what to do with them. So let's do a single card and a 3-card reading so you guys get an idea of how we would do that. Maybe I will use... I'm going to use this deck. I'm going to use the Crystal Tarot deck. So this is standard tarot, but it also has a little bit of an oracle sort of feel to it. So if you're going to do a 1-card pull, so let me just take a second to kind of get myself set and tuned in here. So 1-card pull is you're going to want to either ask a question, such as a specific question. Will I find love in the next, within the next season? Will there be love for me? You could ask a general question like that. You could ask a specific question. What do I need to be aware of in the next week? Okay, so we've got a card that's come out here. So let's just go with this one as our example. So one card pull, what do I need to be aware of for the next week? So we've pulled, I'm just going to focus in here just a second. There you go. So we pulled the 10 of Pentacles. And in this deck, we talked about it's got, each of the cards have a crystal associated with this. I'm sorry if you guys can hear that. That's my husband raising and lowering the garage. It's directly below us. So sorry if you're hearing that. So this is the 10 of Pentacles. And then we've got the Pyrite. We have a little message at the bottom. I'm sure of my place in this world. And he's holding his pentacles and he's got his crown. So if you were to read this in the traditional tarot sense, so the question being, what do I need to know for this week? 10 of Pentacles is a card of disciplined, controlling, being, having everything that you need as far as pentacles are concerned. So that could be material world, body, finances. So to me, I would say that this card would mean, if you're looking at what do I need to know for this week? What do I need to be aware of for this week? I would say, know that your money is balanced. Things are going to be good. You're going to feel strong growth this week. I'm sure of my place in this world. So you're going to feel really grounded, probably lots of good things going on in your social life. What do you be aware of? I would say that this card is here to tell you that you need to be aware of being too controlling with your physical things. So, you know, like there's an energy of holding on really tightly to that which you have. So that's what I would say. Whoever this card is for this week, they need to be aware of holding on too tightly to their money, being too controlling with their money. Okay, so that's a standard 1-card read. So using the same deck, let's do a 3-card read, which would, 3-card read is usually a past, present, future read. So let's keep going with the what do we need to know this week? Okay, hold on, let me rephrase that. Sometimes you have to think about rephrasing your questions so that they make sense with how the cards, like how the spirit is going to relate the message to you. So let's do, okay, so let's talk about controlling this, you need to be aware of controlling of material possessions. So let's talk about past, present, future of the issue of being too controlling with your possessions. What does spirit have to teach us about being too controlling of possessions? So we need a past card, please. Oops, see, the cards are going. So we're going to do a past card, a present card, and then one more card for future of being too controlling with finances, please. I'm just going to shuffle this a couple more times. Okay, there we go. There's a card. Thank you. I do thank my spirit guides who are helping me with the reading. I like to do readings from a place of gratitude because spirits don't have to spend time and help me with messages, but I feel like they do. So for me, I'm grateful for that. Okay, so your first card, past, present, future. Energies pertaining to the question that you've asked or the issues at hand. You have to remember when you're doing tarot or oracle card readings, one, the future is not written in stone. There are many different paths. So we are getting an energy of if things align one direction, this could happen. 2, tarot and oracle cards aren't super duper specific. For example, you can't ask your tarot cards, what am I going to have for dinner? And expect it to say spaghetti and meatballs. A tarot just does not work that way. So you can't expect those kind of answers. So let's dive into, okay, so being too controlling about money, the sort of air of that in the past. So this is the Death card, and it says, I let go and embrace new beginnings. So I would say, reading this card as past of the energy of being too controlling with money, I would say in the past, you have learned different ways of dealing with money. So you've had cycles with money, new beginnings and endings. And recently in the past, you've had an ending with how you feel about money or how you're controlling money. So maybe this was somebody did some counseling or some shadow work on how they were brought up to deal with money, and they learned some stuff. Maybe they went to the bank and they had somebody help them, and they put to death an old way of dealing with money and were starting a new beginning. So now we're at present. So present, we have, oh, and by the way, just so you know, I don't personally read reversals, so I'm going to read all my cards in upright position. That's a choice. It's a choice that you can make. It's just the decision that I made is to not read reversals. Okay, so present of the issue of being too controlling with money, 10 of Cups. So 10 of Cups, standard meaning 10 of Cups is happiness, alignment. Pardon me. And this is, cups are pertaining to emotions. Cups represent water, which is emotions, relationships. It's also that knowing like your intuition, so the emotions and the feelings. So 10 of Cups, happiness, alignment. So you had some counseling or some help figuring out your money issues. You started a new beginning with money. So whether that's you've gone to a bank and you're starting to save or something. And then your present is, I have all I wish for my relationships, but we're not reading relationships, we're reading emotions and money. There is always a factor of money with relationships though. So right now, I would say with this person, everything's going really good. Everything's really balanced. They have a new beginning with their money. They're saving well. They feel good about their money. Even though they had this message of, hey, just this week, be aware of being too controlling with your money. This is essentially saying to this person, please be aware that you don't slip back into old habits with money of what maybe you've already dealt with before, because things are going really well. King of Pentacles is also like, things are going really well. So this doesn't surprise me at all in this reading. It's lining up really nicely. And then the future position of this reading. So where are they going with this financial situation and being too controlling with their money? Well, the Sun. Okay, so the Sun is like the card in tarot. Everything's good. Everything's beautiful. Things are coming together. And the meaning that this card's got is that I am optimistic. I appreciate all I have. So that's where this person's going with their money. They're going to be growing it. They're going to be building it. They appreciate, they're grateful for the money that they have because they know that they have grown it. And it is a good thing in their life that's making them happy right now. So there you go. That is my little bit of a nutshell of starting to read Oracle tarot cards, how to put things together, how to look at things. And remember, I'm reading intuitively, so you can take these cards to mean many different things. And that's okay. There is a little bit of a thought of being too open with your ideologies when it comes to tarot reading, especially when you're doing specific, like old school, these are tarot, they have specific meanings. And there's also, when you're doing tarot and oracle card readings, I'm just going to throw this in. This is like bonus material. Something to be aware of is this. If you do oracle tarot readings too often, or you ask the same question over and over and over and over again, hoping for a different response, sometimes what I find is spirits can get a little bit cheeky with you and they will stop giving you answers altogether, or they will give you really cheeky answers. So if you find that you're getting answers that don't make any sense or that seem super like tongue-in-cheek, cheeky, or like really almost like snotty or mean, it's probably time to step away from your cards. Give it some time, like a day or two, clear the cards, really think about the issue that you're asking. Why are you asking it so much? And then go back. And maybe at that point, ask your cards to tell you what it is that you need to do to go beyond whatever the situation is that you keep asking about. Okay? Thank you so much for hanging out with us, and love and light.